I wasn't even going to bother covering Halo Season 2 because it doesn't seem like most people care about it anymore after how abominable Season 1 was. It was an affront to God that insulted the very technology that gave us the ability to watch moving pictures in the first place. Halo Season 1 was atrocious. So there were very low expectations going into Season 2, but as I said on stream multiple times, the first two episodes I actually thought were going in a pretty good direction. Like, I was impressed. It seemed like they did bring on new people that were familiar with the property, and as I understand it, they did. And you could kind of feel a little bit more passion being put behind this project. However, there were still the remnants from Season 1 that they couldn't just write out, so instead they had to kind of change trajectory with all of these, like, pieces that were grandfathered into Halo Season 2, and I liked what they were doing with characters that were previously super underwhelming. They were putting them in more interesting positions in the overarching story as opposed to these like snooze fest side plots that no one gave a fuck about. But then this show fell back into its old ways, it stumbles, and it just starts going in the worst directions again. Until the season finale, which I actually thought was handled pretty well. There was a lot of really cool shit in the season finale, but then, even still, there was some really stupid shit too. Because it seems like, in this series, the way the plot advances is by characters making really dumb, out-of-character decisions. Like, really fucking, like, everyone happens to be getting pumped full of fucking stupid juice. And they'll just all of a sudden do something dumb, which then advances the plot in a big way. Like, that is something that's happened a couple of times now. But I do think Halo Season 2 is an improvement over Season 1, which of course isn't like the biggest compliment you can give, because that's a pretty low bar, but I am happy with some of the things about it, but overall, again, disappointed, because it's still not good. By no means is Halo Season 2 great or anything. And I wasn't going to talk about this because everyone expected it to be bad anyway. I'm not exactly enlightening anyone here by letting you know that, yep, Halo Season 2 is also bad. But then I saw this Kotaku headline. Halo Season 2 sticks the landing, I told you so. Halo series naysayers, show yourselves because the Paramount Plus show is hitting all the right notes. If those notes are fart sounds, I guess, the sound of like a fucking wet B flat in your trousers. They go on to say that it does everything a video game adaptation should do and then some, and then goes on to say that they've been saying for over a year that the show is good. That is mind-boggling to me. Like, I understand there's differences of opinions, but this opinion is so bad it should be borderline criminal. Like, this is something that should have you undergo like a psychiatric evaluation. What do you mean this is what every video game adaptation should do and then some? How? It doesn't use anything from what it's adapting. It doesn't take anything from the actual source material. It's telling its own fanfic, and it's doing an extremely poor job of it. Halo Season 1, they've been talking about this show being good for over a year, meaning they must have enjoyed Season 1. Halo Season 1 is bad, even if you don't know what Halo is. On its own 2 feet, it stumbles and eats shit. Halo Season 1 is just bad television, no matter how you spin it. It is a show that had a huge emphasis on the worst parts of television. For some reason, there was this fixation on showing Master Chief's cheeks, which is what gave it the title of Master Cheeks, because there were so many ass shots of him for no reason. I've already made a video covering everything I think that's wrong with Halo Season 1, so I'm not just going to regurgitate all of those points here. But the point I'm making is that this is not what video game adaptations should be by any means at all. The Halo television series is unrecognizable from the Halo franchise that it's taking from. The only thing they share in common is names and armor. That's it. You're not going to find Master Chief fucking a human that happens to be part of the Covenant, literally steaming her ham in the middle of this war by playing Halo 1 through 3, reading the books, or even, God forbid, playing the 343 Halo games. That is exclusive to just this misguided television show. Now, as I've always said, there's no point in adapting things one-to-one, because what's the point there? You need to take it in different creative directions, but this is so outlandish in the Halo universe that it doesn't have a connection. There's no point in calling it Halo. At least, this is still me talking about Season 1. I ended up focusing on that too hard because of how ridiculous that statement was in this article from Kotaku. And I know Kotaku is on life support right now, just pumping out as much rage bait as they can to try and get as many pity clicks and desperation as they can possibly muster. I get it. They're in their death spiral. But this still, like, even knowing it's rage bait was enough to make me just want to come in here and talk about Season 2 since it wrapped up. Now, going back to this, there is one thing that I do agree with them on. It's this last sentence. Action sequences felt tighter and better choreographed. Emotional beats hit when they were supposed to, and the interwoven story threads made for incredibly watchable television. What I agree with from that statement is that last part. Watchable television. That's not the high compliment that the writer thinks it is. Calling something watchable is like the bare minimum. That's like the lowest possible thing you can say. That's like if you're getting bullied and the teacher makes the bully say something nice to you. Like, that is like the tiniest compliment you can give it. And that's what I can say about season 2, is that it is watchable. And I'd even agree that the action sequences are pretty tight and well choreographed. I do think the action, when it's present in season 2, is pretty good and interesting. Granted, you still have to suspend disbelief and just accept that everyone on screen's a fucking moron at all times, because even right away, even in the 2 episodes I was praising, there's a scene where the Marines are in a dark tunnel, and there's a Covenant on the other side, and they know there's some danger out there, but instead of turning on their light, they just keep going in like groups of two or three into the darkness to die. Like they're being led by Noah to get on the ark 2 by 2. They just go out there and just get fucking slaughtered by the Covenant in the dark without ever turning on their flashlight, which they have. They have the technology to turn on a fucking flashlight and they just don't. Because fuck you, that's why. It's silly. But again, the action sequences, I do agree, are tight and well choreographed for the most part. Anyway, I'll go ahead and start by saying a few things I think Halo Season 2 does well. And the biggest thing, the big standout here, is Ackerson. Ackerson is a villain that was present in Halo lore before Season 2, and he is played by an actor named Joseph Morgan, who is actually a fan of Halo. And you can feel it through his performance. He does a great job at being the villain. And I think he was a really helpful component of this season to bring in what he knew from Halo to his role. And that really helped elevate it. Ackerson was by far the best part of Season 2, hands down. Another thing I think they did really well is actually Master Chief this season. And not so much the way Master Chief is written, but Pablo Schreiber, I'm not sure how you say his last name, as Master Chief. There are a couple of really great moments with Pablo as Master Chief where I was like, damn, if he just had some better material, a better story to work with, he'd be a great Master Chief. Like, I really bought into him as Master Chief in this season. I was like, damn, this could be the guy. Like, if we had a good Halo show, if we were in, like, the multiverse where there was a good Halo show, and Pablo was spearheading it, that shit would be a banger. I think he really does get it as Master Chief on what that role would require. I do think that in a Halo television show, you can't have him in the armor 100% of the time. In the first season, I was like, man, he should always be in the armor at least 99% of the time. But in Season 2, seeing Pablo as Master Chief out of the armor, I still got that from him. Every scene he was in, even without his armor, which is pretty much the entire show, he's only in his armor twice, pretty much. No, 3 times, actually, I think. And the rest of the time, he's spent just human being. He's just spent as John. And I still felt like, damn, that's the Master Chief. So he did a great job, really, of embodying that character, even outside of the armor. It's just such a shame that it feels like it comes in a losing effort here, because everything else around these two characters is just not good. I mentioned that Season 2 took some of the characters that had these really boring side quests that felt really insignificant to the plot, like Soren, like Quan, and it took these characters and put them into, like, the actual main juice here in Season 2. And I really appreciated that effort, but it didn't seem like they were able to commit to just actually having them as a front and center component of the story. Instead, they're still, like, off on their own little adventures half the time that you just don't care about when you look at the actual meat of this. The Covenant are about to get to the Halo ring. The humans are losing. Reach has fallen. Like, all of these really big things. And then you still have to go watch Quan see ghosts. You have to watch Soren and his wife try and locate their son. Like, that is so underwhelming when put against the big stuff. I'd rather those characters be brought in and contribute to the big stuff as opposed to just kind of being there and then still doing their side quests. Oh, I also did forget to mention one other thing I think they actually do really well. It is a huge spoiler though, so this is your spoiler warning. The Flood. I thought they crushed it with the Flood. I was shocked by how well they did the Flood here, so I won't get into any more detail than that. I won't dive like super deep into spoilers, but I actually thought they handled it really, really well. Impressed with that. But honestly, it actually makes me more upset that there were some good moments here and some like actually very impressive shots, because it showed what could be if the rest of the show could just follow suit. There are some elements here that work pretty well, more so in Season 2 than Season 1 had. Like I said, it is an improvement. And it showed that there is the real capacity to create a great Halo show. But it's just not this. I don't know if there's just too many cooks in the kitchen working on this show or what, but there are some wonderful shots here, and then there is some stinky shots here. There's some good writing here, like with Ackerson and even some of Master Chief's lines, and then there's some terrible writing here, like with some of Kai's lines, and I'm not going to get too deep into spoiler territory, but some other horrible writing choices. There's nonsensical plot holes that are present and never addressed. It's just such a mixed bag. It seems like there are people on board this team that get it and can deliver great Halo content on the television screen. But there's just too many other moving parts behind the scenes that overwhelm that and lead to what you ultimately get here, which is an unsatisfactory season of Halo yet again. Even with all this said, I do think with the finale of Season 2, if there is a Season 3 of Halo, it's actually in a good spot to pick up and be entertaining and actually be pretty solid. I think if there is a Season 3, if they can just dial in on what worked for Season 2 and take it from where the finale ends on their high notes, we might actually see the first good season of Halo. I don't know if there's going to be a Season 3 or not. I don't think it's fully confirmed. It's mainly still speculation right now. But yeah, I guess maybe I'm just being overly optimistic, but it's just there were some good moments here, and I just hate that it's still overall not good. Like, it's still bad. I don't think it's worth watching. Like, I don't think by any stretch of imagination Halo Season 2 redeems this show and it makes it worth the slog of getting through it. It's not. But Season 3 of this show could be decent with where it's at the moment. Anyway, though, maybe I'll get into like more spoiler heavy stuff about all the things I dislike about Season 2 on stream or something, but I won't do it here because I know people don't like to hear spoilers and all of that during these things, so I'll just leave it there and I won't continue ranting about it anymore. That's really about it. So yeah. Nintendo forcing Garry's mod to delete 20 years worth of content. They're actually making a stink about Nintendo property being in Gmod now. Is there nothing Nintendo won't ruin? They have to be the most joyless corporation on the planet. No exaggeration, it's gotta be Nintendo, hands down. There's more joy from cigarette producers than there is Nintendo. That's incredible. Wow. Wow. I actually did not expect that. I have to look into this. There's no way. This has got to be some kind of misunderstanding. No shot. I heard it's not actually Nintendo, but some known DMCA imposter. We'll go through this. I've got to find out now. Didn't Nintendo sue a 10-year-old's birthday party, or was that a meme? They've sued so many people and cease and desisted so many, I don't know. That sounds like something Nintendo would do, but the one that always stands out to me is it was Marvel. And they shut down a child's gravestone having Spider-Man on it. Nintendo would send a cease and desist letter to a toddler for drawing a picture of Mario without paying them. That is the Nintendo way. So they've been issued a takedown notice by Nintendo. As a result, Face Punch Studios, developers behind Garry's Mod, are in the process of removing about 20 years worth of Nintendo-related content from the game. In an update to Garry's Mod Steam page, the developer stated, "Some of you may have noticed that certain Nintendo-related workshop items have been taken down. This is not a mistake. The takedowns came from Nintendo." That certainly doesn't sound fake. Is that currently still the case right now with the game? Nintendo stuff on Steam Workshop. We're working on removing all Nintendo-related stuff from Steam Workshop. Some of you may have noticed that certain Nintendo... Yep, we just read that. Honestly, this is fair enough. This is Nintendo's content, and what they allow and don't allow is up to them. They don't want you playing with that stuff in Garry's Mod. That's their decision. We have to respect that and take down as much as we can. This is an ongoing process as we have 20 years of uploads to go through. If you want to help us by deleting your Nintendo-related uploads and never uploading them again, that would help us a lot. That does sound like old Scrooge. Nintendo. We're going to see if it's actually Nintendo or not. Regardless of if it's actually Nintendo, it seems whoever is behind it is successfully bullying Nintendo-related property off of Garry's Mod. So they're already causing a huge change to it in a negative way. I don't see who would do that other than Nintendo, but let's continue. Nintendo-themed add-ons seem to have begun getting taken down a few months ago, though Facepunch didn't publicly divulge that the company had issued the takedowns until earlier today. The process has been ongoing since then, and the developers are still working to remove it all, which is understandably a Herculean task. I mean, this has to be Nintendo, right? Like, there's no way it's been months off fake DMCAs. Especially not against a big company like this. Like, Garry's Mod is still one of the most successful Steam games there is. Like, surely the company would be able to recognize if it actually came from Nintendo or a imposter, I would think. You underestimate how much trolls and annoying Nintendo fans love this shit. There's no Nintendo fan out there that's offended that Mario and Luigi are shooting tampons in Garry's Mod. Like, I don't think they're gonna go out there and actively try and take it down by committing a crime, by impersonating Nintendo. Bro, look at the Nintendo fans who had a crusade against Pal World. I guess. But I mean, that's just like Twitter, though. This is criminal. Oh, here's a post from 8 days ago. Aaron Peters, the destroyer of add-ons. This came up when I was looking into it, or when I looked that up. Lately, there's been chaos in the workshop of Gmod, TF2, Source Filmmaker, Left 4 Dead 2, etc. An internet troll by the name of Aaron Peters has been false flagging content creators' add-ons with fake DMCAs. This troll has been claiming he's part of Nintendo, which in fact he is not, and has been doing nothing but causing chaos for the past few months, probably at the start of January. That timeline does check out for what we just read. He has managed to target add-ons that are Nintendo or Nintendo-related. In some cases, he's managed to get rid of any add-ons that even have a smudge of a Nintendo character, even in a piece of art. I don't know if his goal is to get rid of Gmod video creators or just ruin everyone's fun in creating content. He has managed to ruin everybody's day, and I can't blame them. Awareness must be spread about this. People must know about this, because for all we know, he could even target add-ons that aren't even Nintendo-related. Well, yeah, he's obviously not affiliated. He could target anything. He just chose Nintendo to be an asshole because it's the biggest. The Kirby Reanimated collab claims that their videos were taken down by a third party abusing DMCA takedowns, which isn't the first time this would have happened, by the way. This actually happened a few years ago it wasn't the same guy, I don't think, but for Nintendo properties, someone did this as well on YouTube. This company, which doesn't have any clear links to Nintendo, has reportedly been targeting Nintendo. Well, I guess maybe it could be the same guy, just using different names. He keeps fleeing the countries. He goes on these rampages, then leaves the country and assumes a new identity only to do it a couple years later. The name of the company doing these takedowns is A-PAB. Been targeting Kirby creators in particular. Allegations that APAB is the real entity behind the copyright claims date back to 2020, with one creator saying that they reached out to Nintendo and received confirmation that it was not responsible for the strikes on their channel. Oh. Nintendo officially confirmed that they've never flagged any Kirby video, which makes me wonder what is the motive behind APAB's flagging. All I know is that APAB also ruined many channels in Japan as well by false flagging. I'm really hoping someone investigates this company, because what they're doing is 100% DMCA abuse. It's also a crime. The last guy that did this in Minecraft got fined 25 grand for each instance. This guy's on the hook for millions. The company's name stands for Association for Promotion of Advanced Broadcasting Services, but information on the entity is scarce. So, I know this has happened on YouTube, but I just can't imagine it happening to a full studio like Facepunch. I don't know. That seems... I feel like they do their due diligence on where the DMCA came from. I would really think. So, this is bogus DMCA claims made by a copyright troll claiming to be working for Nintendo of America, targeting add-ons from Nintendo franchises in the Steam workshop. So they've been looking to find and take down the individual responsible for this, as well as spread awareness. So Workshoppers Brewster T. Koopa, Crispy Toast, and Z Pyromancer's voice actor Electric Star. February 11, 2024, Brewster posted a plethora of tweets involving false DMCAs on Twitter. Okay, I thought this was going to link the tweets. It just got me to an explanation of what Twitter is. Unlucky. In the same day, Crispy Toast uploaded a video titled Reply Nintendo Gmod add-ons taken down, an entry into the Re-Demo Man series of videos. Let's see.
I'm sorry.
That does about sum it up. Aaron Peters. Okay, here's the first mention of that name with some evidence. Aaron Peters, our prime suspect here, the Jack the Ripper of Nintendo add-ons. Hours after the video was posted, Brewster T. Koopa revealed that the individual had sent DMCA emails to almost all Nintendo-based Gmodders, including himself, which reveals the troll's name, Aaron Peters. So he's just... wait, is he actually just sending emails? I see why that would work on content creators, but surely Facepunch wouldn't just fall victim to this. This is like a phishing scam. Aaron Peters, Nintendo of America. Okay, that's not his real name then. That's just the alias he's using. There is no Aaron Peters. It was discovered that Peters had a history of sending fake DMCAs to pretty much anyone that contained Nintendo-related properties in the past, including not suitable for work artists and even Fraymaker's Workshop. Pillowfort user MKLXIV shared a blog in 2019 that details their encounter with the troll. Peters' motivation as to why he sent fake DMCAs is currently unknown. This guy sounds like an absolutely colossal loser. March 4th, 2024, Crispy Toast uploaded a video called Garry's Mod False Nintendo DMCA Claims, the story, detailing the entire story about the false DMCA claims in the tweets above. Oh, nice. So you already broke down like the whole thing here. What if he was actually hired by Nintendo in secret because they know their lawyers couldn't be paid enough for even that level of heinous shit? Oh, he's just a fall guy? That would be an interesting theory. I think the more likely theory is it's a guy struggling with mental illness and he just wants to do something, like in general, do something to have an effect negatively on others. I think that's probably what's going on here, would be my guess. I'm very confident this guy's name's not actually Aaron Peters, it's just what he's calling himself in these emails. What I think Nintendo should do, and I know they won't because they're still only just now figuring out the internet is a thing they can engage with, but what they should do is take this guy to court and fuck him. Like, he needs to be made an example out of. This is like the third or fourth time this has happened to Nintendo in particular, with people impersonating them for DMCA takedowns. But I think Nintendo's too out of touch to even consider that. But why? He's literally doing all their shit work for free. Yeah, but you also... Even though I'm sure Nintendo's not losing sleep over taking away people's fun, since they love that, it's still illegal to impersonate them, and I'm sure they're not happy about that. I'd really like to know more about this mysterious fucking turbo douchebag, though. Because he's been doing this for years? But it does seem now that Gmod has been hit by this guy, not Nintendo. I'm just kind of surprised that Facepunch wouldn't have done more to investigate if they're authentic DMCA claims or not. Again, they're one of Steam's most successful games. They probably could have a direct line to Valve and ask them, hey, have you guys received notice from Nintendo that we have to take our shit down? Yeah, there's a ton of shit on Aaron Peters dating back for quite a while. And there are just some weird people in the world, man. What an interesting thing to want to do. If Nintendo's reputation gonna get dragged through the mud, it's gotta be on their own terms. Also, should they give this Aaron guy the same treatment they did with that Switch-modifying Bowser guy? Oh! God, that poor soul. Yeah, I mean, if God, Aaron Peters probably sleeps with one eye open, because if Nintendo ever does decide to take action, his life is over. They fucked Bowser hard. That man is indebted to them for the rest of his life. What was his first name? Garry Bowser. Oh. They did him dirty. He went to jail, and he still owes them 25% of his monthly income for the rest of his life, till he makes over 10 million, I guess. Hey, I just want to come in here and let you know something that we're doing at Starforge. It turns out we have an extra Godslap PC, so we're just going to give it away. It's our highest end PC with the best possible design on it because it's Godslap related. At Starforge, we're making the best PCs in the universe, and the Godslap PC is so good that I'd actually extend that to the entire multiverse. Just look at the design of the case here. It's spectacular. So yeah, if you want to enter the giveaway, there's a link in the description. A winner will be chosen at random, so if you enter it, good luck. It's obviously free to enter. Also, we'd have matching PCs, because that's the PC I use. It's a God Slap PC from Starforge. It's fucking amazing. So yeah, that's about it. So yeah. Escape from Tarkov? More like escape from the video games industry, because their new greedy decision is having them run out of town with people chasing them down with pitchforks and leaving their game in droves. Escape from Tarkov probably needs no introduction. It's a massively popular game, and they just pulled a huge blunder that is catastrophic for their company. They are releasing a new PvE game mode at a $250 price point. That is so many doubloons it makes me want to spit. For $250, I expect to download this new mode and then actually have the CEO of Battlestate Games come over and rim me out. That is stupid to be charging for DLC. But even aside from that delusional price point, it commits every unforgivable atrocity that could ever befall a video game. It breaks all the rules, commits every sin that not even the Lord can forgive. It is pay to win out the wazoo, and this is something they actually doubled down on today, which I'll cover soon. This is a story that's been developing over the last 24 plus hours, and it just keeps getting worse. It's like they're trying to find every possible electrical outlet to stick a fork in until it finally ruins the company. They are so focused on burying their fist as far up their own ass as possible. So it's pay to win in the very literal sense of being pay to win, but the absolute worst part is that it broke a promise to their community who had bought into a previous edition they offered. It was misleading their entire community. So they offered something called the Edge of Darkness edition for $100 in the past. And one of the perks of buying that $100 Edge of Darkness edition is that you would have access to all subsequent DLC in the future for free. So $100 is a lot of money for a DLC, but it was kind of like an investment long-term into the game that they loved. So they paid that $100 under the impression that in the future, if more DLC content was coming, they'd have access to it without needing to pay more. But now, fast forward to the Unheard edition for $250, they are not allowing the Edge of Darkness buyers access to that DLC for free. They would still need to buy that. Now, initially, that was going to be it. You'd have to pay the extra $150, but with all of the backlash that understandably came from this, they decided to dip their toes into a compromise where they would offer the EOD buyers 6 months of access to the Unheard edition, so they get a fucking free trial, like a drug dealer giving them their first hit for free. It's laughably pathetic. I don't even think Mr. Krabs would pull some shit like this, because even he would recognize that this would ruin his business. This is incomprehensible greed. I learned about all of this last night on stream, so I'm going to play you all of those clips to get you caught up to speed on the lore and exactly what's been going on here and how bad it all is. And then I'm going to come in to give you the latest updates with what's been happening today, only a couple of hours ago, because it continues to get worse and worse for Escape from Tarkov somehow. Earlier today, the Unheard edition of Escape from Tarkov was announced as part of the latest patch, promising a brand new player versus environment mode and other bonuses. Yippee! Now that the edition has launched, fans are not happy with the bonus it gives and the massive $250 price tag. That is a big chunk of change that even has EA and Ubisoft doing this right now. So just this one DLC was $250? The first issue that fans have is that the player versus environment mode for Tarkov is exclusive to those who buy the new edition. This is despite the fact that anyone who purchased the old Edge of Darkness edition was promised all future DLC content as part of the season pass, which you would think would include this new mode. So this is false advertising? Is that what they're coming after Tarkov for? Because they're saying that you get all future DLC with this, and now they're not giving you all future DLC? A lot of fans who have the Edge of Darkness edition are rightfully very annoyed they now have to upgrade from EOD, which costs $100, in order to play it. However, some posts on the official Discord have tried to explain why BSG thinks this is not DLC. Please don't tell me they're trying to fight their battle. Well, actually, they push up their glasses. It's not DLC by the technical terminology. That's not the correct nomenclature. This is a new single-player experience, thus they did not circumvent any laws. Not only that, there is a clip from Landmark channel of them changing the wording on their website live to hide what they did. I'll check that out. It's from Landmark. It ain't DLC, it's unique feature of the new edition added, said Discord user Applezor, who is the lead community manager at Battlestate Games for Escape from Tarkov. DLC means additional downloadable content. PvE is a feature and a game mode. Just because you all want it to become a DLC, it wouldn't mean it is one. It's featured game mode for the new edition of the game. Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town? What? What kind of weak-ass argument is that? Huh? That's a lot worse than I thought that was going to be. The other major issues that fans have been complaining about is the big in-game bonuses players with the new edition will get. While other editions of the game give some bonuses, so far none have been major factors when on the map and fighting with other players. The closest is extra loot that they get at the start of a wipe. However, this new edition includes more space to store loot when on the map, improved skills at the start of a wipe, and a bonus where AI scavs will not shoot at them if they have over 6 reputation levels with fence. So that's what the pay-to-win article was about then, which is an entirely separate issue. These, along with some other bonuses, have led to the edition being labeled pay-to-win, with players who buy it expected to have a big advantage over those who do not. The reaction to the new edition has been so negative that all but 3 channels in the official Escape from Tarkov Discord have been silenced, with users not able to post in them. Moderators on the game's subreddit are also waiving the rule that prevents multiple posts about the same topic, saying they are just as livid about this situation as you. You know things are reaching like deep DEFCON levels if even the subreddit mods are like, nope, we're mad about this as well. That's when you know you have truly fucked up. Battlestate Games did not respond to my request for comment. Battlestate Games is yet to officially comment on the backlash, with pressure mounting from fans and some even looking into legal action. You would expect them to do it so sooner rather than later. The move also comes at a very bad time given that Gray Zone Warfare, a game many see as a competitor to Tarkov, has just wrapped up its first public streamer test, which has gone incredibly well with fans. With public sentiment towards Tarkov very low, many fans are hoping they can get their hands on Gray Zone Warfare sooner rather than later. Here's an update at 8:15. The official Escape from Tarkov account has posted a statement that seems to suggest Battlestate Game has no plans to make the new mode available to anyone who does not buy the new edition. Hey guys, listen, we heard the outrage. Fuck you. PvE mode is a unique feature which is available only for owners of the Unheard Edition. We will keep you updated on new features exclusive for EOD owners. And then they even got community noted. New game modes are generally accepted as DLC if put behind a paywall. Battlestate sold EOD with the promise that they would receive free access to all subsequent DLCs. So they're even getting their ham steamed by fucking Twitter community notes. Not only that, there's a radio you can call in friends mid-raid to help you as a PMC, which has never been a feature. It sounds very strong. You're still gonna buy it, right? Brother, I don't play Tarkov. And you would never catch me spending $250 for a fucking DLC. I don't even buy DLC when it's like $5. You think I'm gonna drop 250 clams on this? Who do you think you are? I am. Or I'm not. I would not do that. That's craziness. Tarkov devs are also shitting on the competitor game on Twitter. That just means that they're kind of desperate. I imagine this is what you're talking about from his stream. They just changed what you get retroactively to avoid the folks calling them out. I've talked with ANPC, National Agency for Customer Protection again. The only way we can solve this is if we make formal complaints to BSG about this. If they are left unresolved for 30 days, we can proceed with the lawsuit, no problem. If they answer negatively, we can proceed. I suggest you all to do formal complaints as BSG. Make them have 1,000 lawsuits at once. This is available for Europe, the 30 days thing. Man, that severely underpaid social media guy for BSG is going to have the worst 30 days of his life. Meanwhile, all the big wigs are just going to be counting their money from the whales that won't be able to contain themselves, scratching at the neck and spending the $250. I've been playing Tarkov for like 8 years. This hurts, man. Yeah, I don't even play Tarkov, and this is pretty painful just to read. I don't know how they thought this would go over well. That's something that I just can't wrap my head around. Like, it's 2024. These companies hire tech-savvy people. They have social media experts. They have these fucking think tanks and focus groups, and yet somehow these kind of decisions still go through. There really must just be this epidemic of people that spend money no matter what and say nothing. Like, this has to somehow be profitable for them, because it happens too often. The big problem is them changing the promise. Oh, and that's not even that is a big problem, but to me the biggest problem is just like this outrageous price point that they thought was gonna work. Even if there was no broken promises, I still feel like most people would see $250 for some fucking DLC and scoff. Look at Star Wars Outlaws, for example. Granted, you get a lot more out of this for $250 than you do out of Star Wars Outlaws for $130, but even still, those prices are fucking insano style. And you want to know what else is laughable and pathetic? Their social media guy who's fighting for his life right now on Twitter. So, Escape from Tarkov is by far the biggest in the genre. However, there are a couple of competitors. And this lone warrior with access to BSG's Twitter, the company behind Escape from Tarkov, is doing his best to try and play hardball, fight fire with fire. But he didn't realize he was bringing piss to a poop fight and ended up covered in filth. He desperately tried to plant his feet here and make a public slapping display. There was another game that was taking advantage of all of the hoopla here, recognizing that Tarkov fumbled and that a lot of players were leaving, so they made an announcement saying like, hey, you guys are welcome in our game. And the BSG social media champion tried this little maneuver. Have a nice 20-minute adventure in the blatant plagiarist game, in and out. And then even got slapped by Twitter, community noted, saying, hey, it's not plagiarism. They need to prove that assets were taken from EFT. So even Twitter's making fun of BSG. Now let's start with the newest developments here. The biggest one by far is a supposed unreleased interview with BSG. I'm not going to get too specific about it because I don't know if I'm even allowed to really talk about it. I'm pretty sure I can't show it because, again, it is unreleased. But basically the interview went as bad as you could have possibly imagined. The interview opens with him saying that all of this is not a mistake. He's not forcing anyone to buy their game. So, suck it up, basically. And then another question that was asked point blank was, are you contemplating any solutions since this has been received so poorly? And he gave a single word response, no. So it doesn't seem like there's any signs of them changing their minds with this direction here. The whole interview was him just basically throwing everything into the shitter and saying, deal with it. $250, fork it over, is what it is. We're not changing this. And then, this one blew my mind. They did make a slight update to all of this, where instead of addressing the price problem or the lying about what EOD owners will get in the future or the shady, scummy attempt at hiding things on their website, instead of addressing any of the complaints, they instead doubled down on pay-to-win features. In response to all of this, everything that's been going on, they basically come out and say like, hey guys, look, we've heard you. We see what's going on here. We're listening. So we're giving you more pay-to-win features. Mother of pearl, just look at this list. One of these is high-priority matchmaking. They're getting a priority queue for 6 months. It's not even the lifetime. Keep in mind, they're not giving you lifetime access to the Unheard Edition pay-to-win shit. It's a 6-month trial to try and get you hooked and hopefully get the whales to buy into the $250 down the line. Like, this is... Their solution to all of this shows just how out of touch and greedy they are. This is greed on a scale I don't think I've ever seen in the games industry before. This is making EA sweat. EA right now is taking notes. They're like, whoa, how are they doing this? Like, they're right now, they're trailblazing. Like, I feel terrible for EFT players. I never really got super deep into Tarkov. I've tried it a few times, but I'm just not big into the extraction genre, to be honest. But man, this must suck as a big fan of the game. This is so unacceptable. The best case scenario here is another game comes and does what EFT does better and isn't led by the greediest, stupidest fucking people in the industry. That's the best case scenario here, but who knows how long something like that will take. The dumb assholes at Battlestate Games have really done something shocking here. In an industry that is overcome with greed out the wazoo, somehow Battlestate Games just found a new low. That's impressive. Actually impressive. Anyway, though, wishing the best for the EFT community during this time, because Jesus, that shit is awful. Yeah, so I just want to talk about this a little bit. That's it. See ya. There's been a ferocious debate that's raged on in the gaming community for a long time about trying to identify who is the stupidest individual in the entire industry. And I think most people have kind of agreed that it has to be John Riccitiello. He was the former Unity CEO who nearly led that company to the grave, nearly sinking a massive business through some of the worst business acumen I've seen since Mr. Krabs tried to charge for breathing. Also, speaking of charging for breathing, John Riccitiello really took some notes out of that playbook because he's also the former EA head who pitched the idea of potentially charging per reload. So this ghoul's name lives in infamy. He's like the gaming industry's Morbius. He just keeps coming up with flops and creatively failing. However, with the catastrophic blunder from Escape from Tarkov, a new name has entered the conversation for stupidest man in the video games industry, Nikita of Battlestate Games. So I covered this a couple days ago. Pretty much everyone has because it's been a huge deal, even outside of the Escape from Tarkov community. It's just an example of the worst parts of gaming with unbelievable, unchecked greed, misleading their community, fundamentally scamming their players, and a lot of shady shit that's also been going on at BSG here. And all of it over the last few days has served to kind of act like Chaozu on Nappa, just self-destructing this entire fucking company. So there's been two major updates that I just want to cover because it seems like Nikita has recognized the disaster that has unfolded here, and he is finally biting his pride, swallowing his ego, and trying to put out the fire that he has caused. So he's made some brief statements on it where he really wanted to stick to his guns and puff out his chest, fucking lat spreading here and refusing to move like a strong oak tree. No matter how much, controversy comes, hell or high water, he's not budging. That was like the hardball he tried to play initially. Then he was singing a little bit of a different tune when he dropped this update yesterday. He said, "Hello again. Let me clarify the situation in a little more detail regarding owners of the EOD version and access to the cooperative mode and also other issues. First of all, PvE game mode, this is not DLC. DLC, in my understanding, is the major additions to the game, including variations, functionality, and content that are released after the official release of the game as a themed DLC pack. Scav Life DLC, for example, which will add a lot of new mechanics and content for Scav gameplay and leveling." This is horseradish. This is like trying to argue that a poop is not a shit. It makes no sense whatsoever. You're just getting into these outrageous, mental gymnastics to try and explain why it's not DLC, even though by every possible definition, it is. And the reason this is so important, in case you're not caught up with the lore, is owners of the EOD edition were promised all future DLC for free. They paid a lot of money for EOD, and were promised future DLC will be free. However, with the Unheard edition, it was not going to be free. They were still charging $250, thus the EOD owners would still have to pay the extra money to upgrade to that, which goes against what was advertised for the EOD edition, which you can't do. That's misleading advertisement. You're fucking lying. You're fundamentally scamming with that. So he's trying very hard to come out of this squeaky clean with an explanation that no, it's not DLC. The Unheard edition, this is super different, not DLC. Thus, we don't have to play by our own rules that we set here. It's dumb. It's fucking stupid. Nikita does some more whippets here and continues saying, "Secondly, the specific functionality of the PvE mode is necessarily located entirely on a separate network infrastructure because, essentially, you play on our servers only in closed mode. At this stage, it's not possible to launch all players who are EOD holders. We don't have the required resources." He goes on to basically say they recognized everyone was super unhappy with this shit and they were tired of getting spit on for it, so they're going to be giving the PvE mode to all EOD version owners for free at the release of the game, when the server infrastructure will be improved to required capacity, also offering a 50% discount when upgrading to the Unheard version from EOD. Then they're also giving a Left Behind edition key to everyone who's already upgraded to the Unheard edition at the old price. And then goes on to say, more so that any player of any version of EFT can have the opportunity to test the PvE mode. We want to add the ability to purchase a separate early access to this mode. For EOD owners, there will be a 70% discount on the purchase of early access to PvE. It would be interesting to hear your thoughts on this idea. Next, regarding special items for the Unheard version, we plan to make restrictive or balancing changes for these items. This is it for now. Please share your thoughts. Thank you. Hey, Nikita, I'm sharing my thoughts. This isn't good enough. Where's hey, I'm sorry for being a greedy asshole. Where's that in this whole statement? Where's hey guys, look, I'm kind of a stupid idiot. You know, I've been huffing that moron juice for a little too long, and I saw too many dollar bills on the table, so I made a dumb decision. Where's like the level of accountability for this? It's a terrible, 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 terrible decision that you see had a horrible effect on your game, and it made you panic. He's been desperately trying to lessen the blowback here while also not apologizing for anything, like not admitting that it was a mistake, but he's still not doing nearly enough at all. Like, I'm sharing my thoughts here, Nikita. I think you're a goober. I think you're a stupid goober. There's still pay-to-win, huge game-changing features being offered here. It is still pay-to-win. Like, he states that they're going to do some more balancing around it. It's vague, but, like, how about you just remove them? Just get rid of them. Like, people are fine with cosmetics. Like, take a temperature of your community. It seems like 99% would prefer if they were just cosmetics that you get here as opposed to pay-to-win items. Also, I don't even know why I'm, like, harping on this one because he did make another update, but I'm just still so shocked at this one that he thought this would be enough. It's not. And most sensible people called him out on it, saying that, nah, this just isn't gonna fucking cut it. This isn't going to save Tarkov from what you've done here. So he came back 9 hours ago with this. Greetings. I love the way he starts this, just making it sound like he's super enthusiastic. Like, he's got that holly jolly spirit running through his veins right now. He can't wait. He's got a big old smile on his face, even though I know that's not the case. That greetings can't hide the tears behind the keyboard that he's typing from. Let me continue my feedback on the current situation. First of all, I would like to say that I am very sorry that fans in the game community in general are experiencing these feelings. Unfortunately, I somehow did not foresee the fact of such a reaction, and now I have drawn conclusions for my future decisions. Unironically dropping a, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's impressive. That's such a non-apology off rip. This dude just can't. He cannot admit that he made a huge fuck up here. He can't admit that the core idea of charging 250 clams for a DLC and then absolutely butt-fucking everyone who grabbed your EOD edition is bad. The only thing he's taking accountability for is not foreseeing the community's reactions, which blows my mind because I don't know how you wouldn't see that coming unless your eyes are just closed. I don't know. He just puts like $100 bills over his eyes and closes himself off to the world. I don't know how you wouldn't expect that. But the only thing he's apologizing for is that people were upset at the situation. He's basically just like, hey, I didn't think you guys would be upset about being scammed. That's a head scratcher. Man, that's so weird. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't think you guys were so fucking sensitive about being charged $250 and being lied to for this scam. Sorry how you feel that way, I guess. It's just a classic non-apology. Now I'll briefly summarize the main points. 1. About PvE access, we decided to just open it for EOD owners for free, but we will do it in waves. And as I said before, we don't have the server capacity right now. We will start this process as soon as possible. So he's finally caving and just saying, you know what? Alright, all EOD owners, we're doing it, and we're doing it in waves. We'll do it live. No mention on the frequency of those waves. I saw the comment section was still eating him alive, saying, I bet those waves are every 6 months, referencing the initial compromise where he's like, okay, we'll give you a free trial of 6 months. So it could still be that, I suppose. He's just changing the wording around it. 2. We also decided that we will add mod support for PvE mode after the release of the game, which is pretty fucking big from what I understand here. 3. About the Unheard Edition. We will not remove it. We want to keep the option for those who want to support the game more, but we will balance items, perks in this edition, as well as we will provide more rewards for those who upgraded with the old price. If that's more pay-to-win items, I'm actually going to squeal. We're going to provide more rewards for those who upgraded. Here's some more pay-to-win. That would actually have me squealing. But he's just referencing that the community knows this is all pay-to-win, so they're going to be balancing it. The best way of balancing that, Nikita, is to take that shit out. People don't want that in their games. No one wants to pay for an advantage or play a game where people can pay for an advantage over those who don't. It sucks. It's terrible for the health of your game. So just fucking remove it and replace those bonuses with cool cosmetics or something like that. Something that doesn't drastically change the game or even really change it in any way would be optimal. Just purely cosmetic shit would be preferable. 4. New EOD perks will be balanced too. We will remove prioritized matching option to keep everyone in the same spot. and we will add more unique stuff to highlight the EOD version in the game in general. We will provide the final list of the new EOD perks ASAP. This one's huge because they're getting rid of one of the most alarming features they were touting, which was prioritized matchmaking through paying 250 fucking doubloons. So they're like, okay, we'll just get rid of that. That's good. That is just good, no matter how you look at that. Thankfully, they're getting rid of it. It's really concerning that they were even toying around. Well, not even toying around. It's really concerning that they were actually going to go through with the idea of introducing a prioritized matchmaking feature to this game. That is a huge red flag. But it's going bye-bye now, so the community is just going to have to trust that in the future, Nikita won't try and pull some shit like that again. I don't know how you'd ever have trust in this guy at the helm of this company going forward, but that's not for me to decide. That's going to be for individual players. And 5, we continue to work on patches, new content events, and the game release itself no matter what. Thank you for your time, love, and hate, and thank you for your increased attention to the current situation, Nick. Hey, no problem at all, Nick. I'm always happy to insult greedy little assholes like you. So, the community's response to this one has been much more positive because they are directly addressing some of the bigger problems and introducing their solutions to it. Now, they are not budging on the $250 price, which I am still upset about, even as someone who was never going to buy it. I hate the precedent that sets. If a lot of people buy $250 DLC, obviously, other games are going to be taking note of that and seeing how far they can push these prices and also how closely they can tap dance on this line. Because Nikita right now is unironically a pioneer. He is stepping on every possible landmine of greed, so that way every other video game company can take notes of what communities will and will not accept. So he's doing a lot of guinea pigging for the entire industry right now, and it makes me a little concerned going forward. Another thing that's absent from this update is addressing the fact that they lied. Like, point blank, lied. And they also tried to sneakily change shit on their website to hide that fact. No mention of that at all, and that's super scummy. So I do think that's something that they really need to continue to be grilled on. And thankfully they still are. I did mention that it has been more positively received, but it's not by everybody, of course. There are too many people that feel betrayed by this company, and they don't want to continue to support this. If they can't trust the developer down the line to not try and fuck their wallet again, why are they going to continue to invest time into this game and money? It wouldn't make sense. So a lot of people are leaving for sure, and a lot of people are still calling out these facts that not everything is, sunshine and unicorns here. Like, it's not really a full win or anything like that. It's just better in a bad situation that was made out of it. In the comment section, he did reply to a really important question where a user said, "You have still not addressed the fact you are planning to release DLC for the game that was not going to be delivered to EOD owners. Please confirm that EOD owners will receive all content for the game in the future as promised when we purchase the product." And he responded saying, "Yes, EOD owners will receive all of the DLCs." So I don't know if this is him slyly finally falling on his own sword here and admitting that the Unheard Edition is DLC. It is DLC. No matter how much he's tried to argue the opposite, I think this is finally him just eating shit on it and saying that yes, it is DLC, thus we will make good on our promise that EOD owners will get it for free. However, a comment that replied under his made a really good point, that this is only applicable until they try and make an argument again in the future about how their newest DLC is actually not DLC. So I agree with that user that there is a good chance that fast forward a year, 2 years, however long from now, when Tarkov's got another major version coming out here, a new major content delivery, he might try something similar about, this one's really not DLC, so EOD owners will not be receiving this one for free. You will need to pay for the upgrade, all that hoopla again. Go through this entire song and dance once more. I do think it's possible, but I have no idea. Maybe Nikita put his hand on the stove, realized it's hot, and took it off and won't put it back on. There's no telling. This was a stupid, entirely avoidable situation that BSG found themselves in here. Their greed nearly ruined their entire game, and it still might have. There's probably plenty of people who have totally lost trust in Tarkov and won't stick around. I think there's a good chunk of players that are falling into that camp, and I think that's great. but there's still plenty of people that are going to play and support this game because they love the game. They might not love Nikita and they might not love the company behind it, but the game really hits for them, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it does suck that no matter what Nikita and BSG did here, they are still going to be making tons and tons and tons of money from this. Like, they went through, a handful of days of being, made fun of and clowned on, but they're still going to end up making an absolute fucking ton of cash from charging $250 for this DLC. But yeah, anyway, that's where the whole Tarkov situation is at here. I do think Nikita should be in the conversation for stupidest person in the gaming industry right now. Tarkov is a massively popular game that he almost ruined. Like, straight up buried from this greed. So I think that is a very impressive feat that you don't see often. Games of this size don't usually collapse unless a competitor comes out and beats it, which right now isn't happening with Tarkov. It still has an absolute stranglehold on this genre. So it is pretty impressive just how bad of a decision this was, and how reluctant Nikita was to change it, or do anything at all to make the situation any better for themselves. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. As they say, you can't spell diarrhea without EA. And EA decided to throw their hat in the ring during this turmoil in the video game space, with so many major companies coming forward and all collectively doing their best Cybertron cosplay and just imploding on themselves with these ridiculous decisions with their games and how they want to manage those services. They're all just putting their ass in their asshole and looking like fools in doing so. Most recently Xbox, before them Sony, before them Escape from Tarkov. Like, it continues to happen. And I guess EA was feeling real lonely, just isolated on like the weird kids lunch table, like, hey, we haven't done anything super stupid in like a couple weeks. It's our turn. Check this out. And their CEO comes forward honking his nose and pulling ribbon from his mouth and says, hey, we can't wait to ramp up generative AI in our games. Thinking that somehow this was like a slam dunk, like this is a good thing. Proud about putting AI in their games, which will inevitably lead to the loss of many jobs there. It's something that people have been warning about for a long time, and it looks like we're starting to reach that point. And their CEO isn't even bother. He's not even giving a single iota of a fuck about trying to hide the fact that they are going hog wild into AI to start making their games. That is scary. And not only that, he wasn't satisfied with just that statement. He actually went to double tap our ass with another statement, this time about Battlefield, where he said that Battlefield is going to be another tremendous live service game. He is so disconnected from reality, he's using the worst two words you can ever use in gaming. These are cardinal sins. This is like using Voldemort's name. He's using AI proudly and live service proudly. Live service is almost like a slur in gaming at this point with how negative that connotation is. According to this article, Andrew Wilson is saying that this is the largest Battlefield team in franchise history, with DICE, Criterion, Ripple Effect, and now Motive all working on it. And he said that Battlefield 2042 players made it clear they wanted an even deeper experience, and that a few weeks ago I was visiting with the teams and I couldn't be more excited about what they showed and what we were able to play. I'm going to take a quick pause real quick. This is a picture of Andrew Wilson. Does this look like a guy who plays games? This looks like a fucking android from Detroit Become Human. This guy looks like a video game character, not like an actual person who plays the games. This is the biggest corpo suit I've ever seen. I know you didn't play Battlefield or anything like that. This is a bunch of hullabaloo nonsense. Anyway, back to the article. Later on in the earnings call, Wilson slightly expanded on this with an amusing encapsulation of what they were going for. I've just spent a whole bunch of time with the collective Battlefield team, playing with their building, and it is going to be another tremendous live service. Another? Where was the first one? You don't have a tremendous live service. Battlefield 2042 was a joke at launch, and it is still one of my more shameful moist meters because I was very generous with it, assuming that it was going to be fixed quickly. It didn't get fixed for a long time. I know it's in a much better state now, but that doesn't forgive the extremely long period of time where it was just fundamentally broken and barren. It was a fucking tragedy and a stain on the Battlefield legacy. You don't have a tremendous live service record to pull from here, Andrew. So I don't know why you're saying another as if you just can't stop making hits out here like the Beatles. It's ridiculous. It's a fucking ridiculous statement. And no one likes live service games right now because they are so bad most of the time with their monetization and also just how long it takes for anything to actually get added to them. The only live service game that's been crushing it in recent memory is Helldivers 2. But anyway, I won't fixate too much on this Andrew Wilson statement about Battlefield. Instead, I want to focus on the generative AI statement, because that one is extraordinarily alarming for the entire video game industry. He apparently wants it as quickly as possible, so it's coming. Brace yourself. And if you work in the industry, my heart is breaking for you. EA is not even being shy about it. Andrew Wilson thinks AI could be the holy grail for at least half of EA's development process. AKA, can't wait to start laying people off and saving money. Yeah, I think the second EA starts making all of their games have this huge AI integration in their development process and laying people off is the day that I will pirate every single EA game forever. Does EA honestly think people will support this? I think he is so disconnected from reality. Andrew Wilson probably thought that this was a major PR win. AI! Kids are gonna love that shit. It's so new! Oh my god, it's like when Joe Biden and Trump argue with each other on TikTok with AI. People love it. They're gonna love it in our games. So despite the games industry's mixed feelings about generative AI, EA CEO Andrew Wilson is anxious to apply it wherever he can. In a call with investors on Tuesday, Wilson said he's working to implement generative AI as quickly as possible throughout the development process. He thinks the technology could unlock EA's holy grail, which is to build bigger, more innovative, more creative, more fun games more quickly. And at half the cost, because you're getting rid of all of your actual workers on it. I mean, that's the big thing. I don't know why he's being coy about it. It's no secret that Wilson is a fan of artificial intelligence. In March, the executive bragged that EA was AI native and that some of its games players' runs had already been augmented by AI. He added that because of how large today's games tend to be, AI could help expedite the game development process. Strangely, Wilson also rattled off an idea involving an EA AI platform which could see 3 billion players around the world creating personal content and expanding and enhancing the universes that EA creates. What in the fuck is that? What kind of lunacy? Can someone take my man off the crack pipe? Now they want us to develop the game? Fuck that. Isn't that a cool idea? We're gonna build an EA AI platform where players can build their own games that we can monetize. So then we don't even need to hire developers. We can just have the gamers do it for us. Genius! Andrew Wilson is in the laboratory concocting something quite foul. Fortnite approach? Kind of. The difference with the Fortnite approach, though, is that it's not AI. Like, it's still players building games. And Fortnite gives them a massive cut of the profits. They do a really good profit split with the Fortnite custom community. As far as everyday game development goes, Wilson thinks AI is nearly ready to positively impact at least 50% of EA's processes. That's based on an early assessment of EA's entire development pipeline, according to Wilson's investor call comments on Tuesday. As we think about the first pillar of generative AI for us, we're really looking at how it can make us more efficient, how it can give our developers more power, how it can give them back more time and allow them to get to the fun more quickly. And we've got teams across the company really looking to execute that. That's not how it's going to be used, Andrew. Don't you ever lie to me again. I've said this before. I think AI can be a really good tool, especially in game development, for some of the grunt work that they just put people on for the sake of having them do something, but no one really likes doing it. So like random world NPCs coming up with just throwaway dialogue lines, you can just delegate that to an AI to just spit those out endlessly. Things like that, like actual tedium grunt work that they don't even really hire people for, they just put people from other positions on. I think if you just give that to AI, that's a positive use. But that is not how EA is going to use it. Not at all. That is not what they're going to use it for. Like I mentioned on stream, there is actual good usage for AI in game development if you give it as a tool to the developers themselves as opposed to replacing them with it, which I think is the long-term goal for companies like EA. I think a developer can use AI to help ease the burden of some of the more tedious processes, like I mentioned with like throwaway dialogue and NPCs, or lip syncing. So I didn't know this until Stream mentioned it, but apparently Final Fantasy VII Rebirth used AI to help with lip syncing. That is another positive use I can see for it, because at that point it is a tool being used by the developers to help in their art. It's not taking away any jobs, because it's not like they were going to bring on a lip syncing specialist. It was going to still be the exact same team, with many of them just having to bite down and just fucking grit their teeth and just do the tedious lip syncing chores. Whereas with AI, they can just give that grunt work to the AI. It doesn't take away any jobs. It doesn't step on any creative toes or anything at all. It is literally just being used by the creatives to help in their vision and help them focus on the bigger things with their art. I think that is another good use of AI, but I don't see a company like EA using AI for these purposes. EA is a company that would be putting nicotine in your controllers if it was able to make you more hooked on their products and spend more in their games with their monetization models. They are not a company that is going to be using AI to just help their employees. It's going to be used to try and phase them out over time so they can save money on those salaries. 100% that is the goal with it. They'll be able to churn out more games faster with less work behind them, like less salaried work behind them, and I think to them, that's the holy grail that Andrew Wilson is referring to. So it's just a really grim future for games once they start integrating AI into it, and EA isn't being shy at all. He is coming out and saying they can't wait to ramp up their AI. And that shit sucks. That is just classic EA garbage right there. And I just had to talk about this. It's another big video games industry misfire here. Like, I don't understand how so many of these companies keep doing this all so quickly back to back to back to back to back. I'm curious to see how many more are going to come forward and do something like this as well. That's really about it. So yeah.